Dallemann, a secretary at an Argentine library, was of both Argentine and German descent. But he was most prideful in his Argentine roots, perhaps due to the fact that his maternal grandfather, who was Argentinian, died an honorable death on the frontier of Buenos Aires. Dallemann, eager to read his new treasure, The 1001 Nights, rushes blindly and doesn't notice himself a grievous wound. Blind to all fault, destiny can be ruthless at one's slightest distraction. One could extrapolate from this that the cause of his misery, the 1001 Nights, is representative of the peace and prosperity Latin America has enthusiastically sought, but has caused dictators and corruption to arise.
Don't worry, Dallemann, you'll be fine.
Yeah, you look great.
Dallemann listened to them with a kind of feeble stupor, and he marveled at them not knowing that he was in hell. Consider the idea of post-colonialism. The colonizers had never known the hell that the colonized faced, believing that they were not serious and telling them that everything was going to be okay. They offered their sympathies and well wishes, but did nothing to help the colonists' conditions.
Alright, Dallemann, come with me so I can fix you up.
Alright. I need help, but oh gosh.
Dallemann felt hope, as he had suffered with illness for 8 days, but once he had gotten to the hospital...
Alright, Dallemann. Unfortunately, you said the same thing. You won't make it through the night.
After Dallemann's initial hope, he realized he had not escaped his hell, but rather entered a new one, a harsher hell, where the suffering drowns him in self-pity. This relation of initial help, only to be betrayed, is that of the colonizers who provided a hope for a better life, yet their influence exacerbated this situation. While they were supposed to be strengthening him, it seemed as if they weakened him instead. During these days, Dallemann hated himself in minute detail. He hated his identity, his bodily necessities, his humiliation. He stoically endured the corrective measures, which were painful, but when the surgeons told him that he had been on the point of death from septicemia, Dallemann dissolved in tears of self-pity for his fate.
Dallemann, you managed to make it to the morning despite the odds. You're going to go home soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Dallemann has finally been released from the hospital, and on the way home to his ranch, he stops for coffee. The hospital's denial of sugar to Dallemann can be symbolic for the European nations forcing Latin America to labor to produce sugar for sole European use, not allowing Latin America to enjoy the fruits of its labor until now that it finally has its freedom. After enjoying his rest, Dallemann has gotten on a train to return home.
Choo-choo.
Hi, sir. I'm sorry to disturb you, but the train will not make it to your stop due to inconvenience. You're welcome to go to the general store.
Okay, I guess I'll go there then. Go.
Hi.
Hi.
What would you like?
Do you have some tacos?
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
Fast.
Okay. Well, I guess I better be leaving.
Don't pay attention to those lads.
Alright.
Gentlemen, they're half high.
This benign and consolatory comment by the bartender forces Dallemann to confront the men, before his rational retreat would go unnoticed, as he was an unknown stranger. However, if he were to do so now that his identity has been revealed, the insults were an attack upon his name, and ignoring them would be dishonorable.
Dallemann, you want to fight?
You can't do this. Dallemann doesn't have a weapon.
Dallemann is stunned at the chain of events that have occurred, and he picks up the knife and realizes the weapon in his torpid hand was no defense at all, but would merely serve to justify his murder. Borges presents this evidence and those leading to it as if the South had resolved that Dallemann should accept the duel. These events are so simple, so coincidental, so improbable, even magical, yet still possible, that they are a prime example of magical realism. Borges uses this to emphasize how, like Dallemann, it was coincidental, randomly seemingly magical, and predestined events that brought Latin America all of its turmoil. Beginning with the original head injury and ending in this final presentation of the knife, this presents the thought that Latin America's position is pure happenstance and that history could have easily been in Latin America colonizing Europe.
Alright, let's take it outside then.
As he crossed the threshold, he felt that to die in a knife fight would have been a liberation, a festive occasion, on the first night in the sanitarium, when they stuck him with the needle. He felt that if he had been able to choose then, or to dream his death, this would have been the death he would have chosen or dreamt. Dahlmann's idea of liberation was to have the choice of dying his idealized death, an honorable death. This shows how Latin Americans wanted to take freedom to make their own choices.